All right, I don't hear myself 10 times. That sounds good. All right.
Yes,
So,
once is enough.
yes, right. Um, well, I think we have everybody in attendance now, so we want to go ahead and get started with the Board of Mayor and Aldermen workshop for April the 22nd. This is at 5 o'clock. This is Town Administrator David Smoke, and we will be operating under Governor Lee's executive orders for virtual meetings. Tonight's workshop is going to be focused on personnel, and we've had a lot of different budget workshops so far this year. This one we've been working towards. We've got many things to cover and talk about tonight with the Board of Mayor and Aldermen. The first one being a classification and compensation plan that we had Baker Tilly look at for us. This is a plan that actually we were planning to implement last year, and with COVID and with everything that happened, we put everything on hold. Ann Antonson with Baker Tilly has been working with us for several years, looking at our compensation plans and policies, and she's been helping us update this classification and compensation plan. And she'll go through what that means and all the different analysis that she's done. So I'll let Ann do that. And Janet Curry, our Human Resources Manager, has been working closely with Ann this past really year and getting this updated for us. So with that, Ann, I will turn things over to you and let you take it from there.
Great, thank you, David. Can everybody hear me? Okay, just want to make sure. Didn't have technical difficulties. Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you for inviting me to attend this meeting this evening. As David said, I've been working with the town for this last update for, oh gosh, I think we're going on a year and a half now with the COVID, and your project, like many others that we've been working on for the last year, there have been lots of pauses. So the town is ready to kind of move forward. So tonight I'm just going to walk you through kind of an overview of the objectives that were identified by the town for conducting this study, the process that we went through, some results and recommendations. And you know, this is structured but informal. So please, if you have any questions at any time, please feel free to ask. During this presentation, I'll also be referring to the study summary that has also been provided to you, and then we can go into detail on some of that after this presentation, because some of the things that are included in that report are just not very viewable in a PowerPoint presentation. So kind of to jump forward, the objectives that the town identified for doing this study. As David said, we've been doing work with the town for many, many years. We implemented the original study, probably 10 years ago. And we've done some reviews, we've done some market updates, we've reviewed positions as we've been going along, but there hasn't been a comprehensive market survey done for now several years. So the town wanted to review and evaluate the current classification and compensation system, which included looking at what is the town's current relationship relative to the labor market. So looking at your salary ranges, your starting pay, your mid-range, the top pay that's available to employees, is that competitive with your established marketplace? Are you ahead of the curve? Are you lagging behind? So that was one of the preliminary objectives of this, is to just do that market check-in to see what that current relationship is to the market. And then, although we've been reviewing positions as time has gone and positions have changed and new positions have been created, there's always kind of movement in those. So we wanted to make sure that the internal rankings of positions, so how positions lined up relative to one another, was still up to date, looking at any positions that were new, that were created during this study, and then any positions that had undergone changes. So making sure we were keeping up to date on those evaluations. Then taking that information and updating, if necessary, the compensation system and the strategy for the town of Farragut, and then if there were changes necessary, looking at developing implementation strategies. So what impact would that have on individual employees of the town of Farragut? Next slide, please. Thank you. So the methodology that we used for this study, about a year ago, or a little more than a year ago, we started this process off and had discussions with the town administrator, with human resources, and with department heads to just talk about anything that has changed, any current issues or concerns that the town had with the current compensation program, such as positions that had changed. Were there any positions where the town was having difficulty retaining employees? So any positions where there was turnover, so employees were leaving, where were they going? Was it tied to compensation? Were there any positions where the town was having difficulty filling those vacancies, lack of qualified candidates, or a small pool of candidates, which we're seeing across country in public sector positions as well. And then any specific concerns about the overall compensation program. Then we looked at collection of data. So we collected all, can we go back to the previous slide, please? Back. Sorry, somebody just drove in my driveway, so we're gonna have dogs barking. No, go back up towards the top. There we go. That's down one, methodology.
Sorry, we're working on it. We're having a little technical difficulties.
That's all right.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
I understand how that goes.
Do I need a methodology? Is that where I need to be?
There we go.
Okay.
Perfect. Perfect. So when we started the study, also we collected current job descriptions just to make sure as we were reviewing positions, as we were collecting market survey data, we had the most up-to-date job descriptions because in our market survey, we include a summary of the town of Farragut's position so that we make sure we're getting valid comparisons out in the marketplace. And then for any positions that were new or any positions that had undergone changes, we obtained additional information as far as supervisors and employees completing a position analysis questionnaire for those positions so that we could review internal evaluation. And I'm sorry if you hear that in the background, that's my crazy parrot. So there's no way to keep him quiet. He'll stop soon. So then we wanted to then look at evaluating positions based on current job requirements for any of those changed positions. And then we did a very comprehensive market salary and benefit survey for organizations. And the list of organizations is coming up shortly. But that survey was very comprehensive. We obtained information about compensation structures to ensure that the structure that was in place in the town of Farragut was still consistent with the market. For every position, we requested information on starting pay, top pay, actual wage of individuals. And then we also provided an opportunity for those organizations to identify if they had a similar position but maybe had a different job title, or it had less or more responsibilities or requirements than the position in the town of Farragut. So we could take that into consideration as we analyzed the information that we collected. Then the next step after we reviewed internal equity, we analyzed the market survey data. We then updated the compensation plan. And there's two different options that we're bringing forth to this group tonight. And then again, reviewed assignment of positions to the pay grades, make sure that positions were lined up appropriately to ensure internal equity of all positions, and then to assure that they were lined up relative to market. And then the last step is then looking at implementation options. So again, does it impact any individual employees? And if so, what are the costs associated with that? So next slide, please. So these are the benchmarks that we have historically used for our market survey. These have stayed fairly consistent since we did the original study in 2010. They are reviewed every time that we go out and do a market survey to make sure that this is still a valid survey group. So you can see the list of communities that were invited to participate. So we had 17 organizations that were invited to participate. We received information from 12 of the organizations, and the ones that you see highlighted in bold are the ones that we received information from. The other communities, we made several contacts, as did Janet, and we were unable to obtain their information. Next slide, please. So in our market survey, we included 37 positions in the survey. In the final analysis, we were able to use 31 of those positions in the final analysis. 6 positions we exclude either because there was insufficient data, so we didn't get enough responses to deem the survey information valid, or the positions, the responses that we received were inconsistent with one another. So they were not directly a match for the position in the town of Farragut, and they were not matches for the other responses that were received for those positions. So we had 31 included in the overall analysis. And we did 2 different analyses of the data. One was based on just looking at town of Farragut ranges based in comparison with the market average. And the second analysis, which was based on the pay philosophy of the town of Farragut, was to look at the 60th percentile. So looking at adjusting that average upwards to see how that comparison looked in relation to your current salaries or your salaries last year. So when we looked at market average, your minimum salaries were 5.89% below average. Your midpoint salaries are 4.53% below average, and maximum salaries 3.64% below average. So your top salaries are actually more consistent with the market than your starting salaries. And then when we looked at the 60th percentile, minimum salaries fell to just about 8% below average. Your midpoint salary is 6.9, and your maximum salary is 6.22. And there is complete survey data in Appendix 1 of the study summary report that has been provided to you. Can we move to the next slide? So when we talk about internal equity, back when we did the original study, the town adopted a job evaluation system known as the SAFE, or Systematic Analysis and Factor Evaluation System. And job evaluation is a common compensation practice in both public and private sector organizations worldwide. This is the tool that they use to make sure that there's internal equity for all positions within an organization. So to ensure that positions within an organization that have similar levels of job responsibilities, essential job functions that they're required to perform, job requirements as far as education, experience, any special requirements, and other factors that apply to their position, that those positions are paid at a level that's consistent with one another within the organization. And so the job evaluation system that we use has 9 factors that are included in that evaluation. So it's a very comprehensive evaluation tool, and this is what gives us the ability to compare seemingly very different positions to one another across the organization. So in job evaluation, what is looked at is the minimum requirements of the position within the organization, not on the qualifications of the individuals in the position, so not what they bring to their position. So training and ability, so formal education and specialized training, prior work experience that is required of the position, level of work, so if the type of work being performed, is it entry level on up to management level of the type of position, human relations skills, so responsibility of a position of working with or through others, both within and outside the organization.
And I think we just lost you. Whether I don't know what the technical difficulty is there, but we can't hear you. Did you call in, Ann, as well as on the video?
I thought we were listening to her from her phone because it was showing.
I think so, yeah. I think that got dropped somehow. So let's give her just a second to see if she can't log back in and get back into the meeting.
Am I back on?
We have you. Yes, ma'am.
Sorry about that. It just booted me out.
Gotcha.
I've had that happen every once in a while, and usually during a presentation, by the way.
Of course. Yeah. No, we got you. Thanks, Ann.
Okay. Sorry about that. Then physical demands, working conditions, which is both physical and environmental conditions, as well as the level of mental effort or stress that is required of a position, how independently the position is either allowed or required to function, so the level of supervision received, impact on end results, so the types of decisions that are required to be made, actions required to be taken, and then supervisory responsibilities, the level of supervision and the number of staff. Next slide, please. So when we look at pay philosophy, and this is a discussion we have with every community that we do this type of study for, and the discussions is looking at providing fair and equitable compensation to employees within an organization, the balance of the external market, so those market comparisons with the internal relationships of positions within the organization, making sure that there's a competitive pay structure that also takes into consideration the fiscal resources that an organization has, not only for implementing, but sustaining a compensation program, making sure it's understandable, and then employee movement within the range is based on individual employee performance. And then in Town of Farragut policy, it states that its mission is to be a leading municipality in the state. So that was taken into consideration as we were looking at where we were going to be situated relative to market based on that philosophy of the Town of Farragut. Next slide, please. So when we looked at updating the compensation plan, when we update this or develop a new plan, what we look at is using the respondent survey data to make sure that the ranges are consistent with the other jurisdictions relative to what your pay philosophy is, so where you want to be situated to the market. So the goal is to have starting salaries that are consistent, midpoint salaries that are consistent, and your top available salaries that are consistent with the market. You're going to have some positions that are going to fall a little bit outside of those guidelines, because not every position is a direct match to market. So there are some positions based on their requirements and responsibilities in the town of Farragut might be slightly above or slightly below the market comparison, based on that internal equity. But the proposed pay plan contains 25 pay grades, and then there's a 6.5% separation between each of those pay grades, so between each level in the compensation plan. Consistent with the practices in the town of Farragut, each grade is an open range system, which provides a starting salary or minimum, a midpoint, and a maximum. Again, that's consistent with survey responses. And an open range system allows the town the flexibility of where to hire employees within the range based on what an employee brings to the position within the town of Farragut. It gives you flexibility for movement of employees within that range based on cost of living, based on financial resources, based on performance of individual employees. And then the pay plan and the list of positions are in Appendix 2 of the study summary report that has been provided to you. So when we look at implementation, we have two implementation options, and there are two ways we're looking at this. One is doing the comparison to market average in the development of the pay plan, and the second one is looking at the pay plan being consistent with the 60th percentile of the market. So the two options for each of these is option one is taking employees who have a current wage which falls below the proposed minimum of the grade to which their position has been assigned and moves those employees to the minimum. Option two provides a flat 2% increase to employees who have a current salary which falls within the range. So the annual cost of option one is just under $31,000. Annual cost of option two is just under $78,000, and that's just wages only, and that's for an annual cost. The next option is looking at the 60th percentile, which falls in line with the pay philosophy of the town of Farragut. So again, the same two options, move to minimum, or in this instance, it's providing a 3% increase to employees within range, and that 3% is selected to get employees closer to that 60th percentile. So moving employees so they're more competitive with their current wages with the marketplace. So that option one of moving to minimum is just over $72,000. The 3% increase for all employees is just under $135,000. And the details of these options are on pages 4 and 5 of the study summary report that you've been provided. So, some recommendations. Looking for the town to approve the proposed salary schedule, approve the placement of positions in that salary schedule, which aligns positions both for internal equity and for consistency and competitiveness with the market, and approve an implementation option which meets the goals of the town and falls within what you have available for financial resources. And then, as always, looking for administering the system moving forward. So providing support for ongoing administration. So that includes establishing guidelines for how you're going to make adjustments to the pay ranges and also to the wages of individual employees. So making sure that your ranges stay competitive with the market so that you don't fall behind the market and then play catch up. So making sure your starting salaries, your top salaries are staying competitive in the marketplace. And then making sure that individual employees are receiving, increases based on town policy so that they actually have the ability to move upwards into the range so they can approach, midpoint and be more consistent and competitive as a longer term employee. And then also the performance component for employee movement within the range. So next slide, please. So looking at conclusions, the goal was to update the
And we lost you again.
I think she realizes it pretty quick when she gets kicked out. We'll give her another minute to get on here.
Am I back on? I don't know why it keeps booting me out.
We got you.
Okay, sorry about that. So again, looking at that internal equity and market competitiveness, being fiscally responsible with public resources. We all know that it's tax dollars, and other funds that pay for employee salaries, and then ensuring that there's consistent administration of pay policies and procedures across all town departments. So at that, I will pause.
All right, does the board have any questions about, for Ann, for any of those specific areas that she covered at this time?
I have a quick question. It's probably more of an overview question. Hi, Ann. This is Vice Mayor Povlin.
Hello.
We've done these studies in the past. How often should a town be doing something like this, a complete compensation review? Okay.
Industry standards call for every 5 to 7 years. Less often if we're in a recession or an economic downturn. More often if we're seeing pretty rapid market changes or difficulty with recruiting or retaining employees. In the last several years, it's been more of a recommendation to do a check-in and kind of a more comprehensive review about every 3, just because in the public sector, the market has been very rapidly changing. A lot of that is due to the fact that there are less and less available workers that are going into public sector professions. And so there's a lot more competition for employees.
Thank you. That's the only question I had.
Okay.
Any other members of the board have any specific questions for Ann? At this time, at least. Okay. If not, I'm going to jump in here, Ann, and give the board a little overview of the total amount of money we're talking about for some of these changes. If you look at our current payroll, the town's right at $3.18 million in all payroll for town employees. And looking at the 3% increase, and I know these numbers may be slightly different than Ann's, and it's more just because Allison has the exact figures that she has gone in and rectified that we're going to put in our financial statements and budget for the year. But the overall 3% increase, as we mentioned, would be almost $71,000. The cost to move the employees that are below the minimum and get them to the minimum would be an additional $79,900. And there's also an issue which we didn't really talk about yet, but we have to deal with, which is compression. So anytime that you move employees that maybe have been here for several years, let's say you have a number of them and you move them up into a new range, or maybe they move up to the minimum of their range, you tend to get compression when there's a lot of employees, especially turnover of those employees. And so we have a lot of compression a lot in public works. There's some other areas as well. But the compression to adjust for that and just in general, a few adjustments as well for employees that really should be at the midpoint, but they're not based on years of service and longevity. We have another additional cost there of $54,172. So overall, a total increase for the class comp study and to deal with the compression of right at $205,000, which is a 6.4% increase over where we are today. All right, the next area that I wanted to talk to the board about is program changes. And we've talked a lot about personnel, obviously, with the class comp, but now we're going to be talking about individual positions and requests from departments on adding personnel to the budget for this year. I think the two areas of focus that we're going to have this year are Public Works and our Parks and Recreation Department. Those are both departments that are heavily involved in the new parks that we have added, the new open spaces that we've added, new facilities that we've added. And so they are requesting employees to be able to handle those additional duties and responsibilities that they're having to maintain now. So in Public Works, there are actually two new positions for maintenance operators. So these would be two additional maintenance operator positions, one in Parks and Rec and one in Parks and one in the right-of-way crew. Both of those positions total of approximately $123,667 to include in this year's budget, and that includes wages, benefits, all their equipment and gear that they need as well. And so, and Bud, if you have specific questions about those, I know Bud McKelvey, Public Works Director, is on the line and can answer those. But with McPhee Park, we are going to be adding quite a number of hours of maintenance to that park. We've already been adding maintenance with our current Campbell Station Inn, with our facilities at the community center, just the grounds maintenance that's involved there. And also we're going to have more roads to maintain this year with Union Road, possibly in about a year, but also Virtue Road, which is what we're working on right now. So there's definitely more workload to try to handle. And so Bud's asked for two new positions there. The other positions that we are also requesting are really an internal supervisory position in Public Works. One would be a crew leader over the parks crews, and one would be a roads crew leader over the roads crews. This would allow the foreman, right now they have about 11 people that they'd have to supervise and try to maintain some semblance of supervisory control over. And these crews tend to go in different directions throughout the day. So keeping up with each crew and make sure they're doing what they need to do. We felt like there was a good opportunity here to add a crew leader position. It would give some upward mobility for those guys that are here or that have been here a long time in our maintenance operator positions, but also would help the foreman just be able to get more work done in a better and more efficient manner. So that overall cost estimate. Yes.
Just for clarity, those two people are they're not new hires, they're just hires from within. They're moving up correct? So we're just a total of two new employees are coming to parks, to Public Works.
Just two new employees, yes ma'am, just two new employees. Okay. Those two positions would just be internal promotions, so to speak, for those positions. And I think the overall cost for that we've estimated at $3,743. So I would feel a minimal cost to be able to get some additional supervisory aspects in the Public Works crew department. Any questions about Public Works before I move on to Parks and Rec? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to move on to Parks and Rec then. In our Parks and Rec department, when we add new parks and we add new responsibilities, that also means that our park assistants have to spend more hours, cleaning restrooms, cleaning fields, trash, whatever it may be, just dealing with rentals that we have at our different facilities. So in the last year plus, I've been talking to our Parks Director, Sue Stool, about this quite a bit. We've had a lot of difficulty hiring park assistants. It's at the lower end of our pay range. Right now, I think with some of the federal dollars that are being provided, it's been very difficult for us to really get quality people in that we can rely on for extended periods of time. And so what we've talked about is adding a full-time lead park assistant to the position. That would give us 2,080 hours a year of full-time work. We would have it would obviously be with benefits. But what that would give us is some more stability with hiring a full-time person to the job. That obviously would then reduce the number of hours we would need for part-time labor, and that could be filled in as needed throughout the year. So that again is another program change that we were requesting this year. That total cost with benefits for that position would be $54,669. So if we added all of these program changes up, then the total included and added to the budget would be $182,178 for the fiscal year FY 2022. Any questions on that position or anything else in general about our program changes? Okay. The final thing I wanted to talk to the board about is actual merit increase. So we've talked about class comp, we've talked about program changes. Now we talk about merit increases for employees. This obviously goes to our philosophy of evaluating employees based on the quality of their performance. As their performance increases, then they would get up to a 3% merit. Obviously, if their evaluations came back and were not as high as they needed to be, then that merit increase could be less. But based on our current employees and what a 3% merit would cost, we would also be adding and looking at $100,794 for a 3% merit increase as well for this next year. And hopefully that would keep us competitive. As Ann mentioned earlier, we've got the class comp that gets us to a point of being now hopefully in the market and in the competitive range, and then that merit increase would help those employees then move into that range and based on their performance of their job.
David, is that merit increase based on after the class comp or before?
It would be after. So you would actually do the class comp and implement the class comp, and then after the class comp is implemented, then you would add the merits on top of that.
Okay.
Yeah, Alderman Burnett, that was kind of my question as well. Does the one not catch them up to where they, need and deserve to be based on market dynamics and pay elsewhere?
Really, the class comp. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm just kind of thinking. I was kind of thinking. I think the same thing Vice Mayor Povlin was, but possibly.
Well, again, the class comp is just catching us up to the market and getting us kind of into the range of the market where you need to be. In my mind, we did not, as you know, we didn't do anything last year for employees. Got us kind of behind in just in general where we would normally be. So in my mind, we've got the class comp has caught us up to where we should be. And now what we're looking at is trying to make sure that our employees are still moving through and getting the opportunity based on their merit performance or just their performance in general to get some kind of compensation based off that. So this would be, for when we talk about a bump in a year, this would certainly be a bump in a year for employees. And then hopefully next year, the year after, we would be in the kind of the normal process that we typically would see from either COLAs and merit increases or just merit increases based on what we can do that year for employees. Okay, any other questions that the board may have? Well, if not, we got done a lot earlier than I had anticipated tonight. Never know how long we'll need for each of these workshops, but we will have all these numbers plugged into the budget process, and we will be able to go through all of this. I know next Wednesday we were going to have a workshop again at 5 o'clock on April the 28th, I believe is the date. we'll be meeting here at Town Hall in the community room to go through that last minute or the last draft budget before I get you the draft on April 30th. So I just wanted to touch base, and we can cover all subjects next week, but just wanted to cover, I know we have not talked about grants yet, so we will be talking about some grant requests that we've had recently, which would include grants to schools, grants to nonprofits that are in the area, as well as finishing up our CIP discussion and any other personnel related issues that the board may have questions about. So if nothing else, then we will adjourn until 7 o'clock for the normal board meeting.
Okay, the time is approximately 7 p.m. and April 22nd, 2021 Farragut Board Mayor and Alderman meeting will now come to order. Now it will be operating again on Governor Lee's current Executive Order number 78, which shall remain in effect until 11:59 p.m. Central Daylight Time on April 28th, 2021, which at that time it will expire. In accordance with the executive order, it should be noted that we're operating in compliance with TCA Section 4-5-312D by providing real-time live audio video access on Charter Channel 193 and TDS Channel 3, and is also available on the Farragut YouTube channel. Live access to the virtual meeting is also made available through streaming. On Farragut live stream, it will be recorded. You can be viewed later when posted on the Farragut YouTube channel. During this period of time, all Farragut citizen agenda or forum comments and questions, along with the name and address, should be emailed to comments@townoffarragut.org and should have been received by 12 p.m. the day prior to the meeting in order to be included in the record of that night's meeting. All Farragut Board Mayor and Alderman meetings will be public noticed as per Tennessee state law. Our board meetings are also in compliance with TCA Section 8-44-103 with public notice of our posted agenda prior to each meeting. Pursuant to the governor's executive order, all votes taken tonight will be by roll call vote. Per the executive order, I ask that each member speaking to please identify themselves to permit the public to ascertain the identity of the person speaking. I'll now ask the county recorder to please take an attendance roll call for a quorum.
Alderman
Also,
Burnett.
for the record, we will ask that the media representatives please respond as well when requested.
Alderman Burnett.
Alderman Burnett here.
Alderman Meyer.
Alderman Meyer here.
Alderman Pinchuk.
Alderman Pinchuk here.
Alderman Pavlin.
Alderman Pavlin here.
Mayor Williams.
Mayor Williams here. And do we have any press with us tonight?
This is Michelle Hollandhead with the Farragut Press.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next will be approval of the agenda. Any agenda amendments?
Yes, sir. We have one item tonight. We'll be removing item 5B. It's the Ross Fowler supplement.
Okay.
Move to approve the amended agenda. This is Alderman Pavlin.
I need a second, please.
I'll second.
Okay, I'll now ask the county recorder to take a roll call vote, please.
Alderman Meyer.
Alderman Meyer, yes.
Alderman Pinchuk.
Alderman Pinchuk, yes.
Alderman Pavlin.
Alderman Pavlin, yes.
Alderman Burnett.
Alderman Burnett, yes.
Mayor Williams.
Mayor Williams, yes. Let the record show that the April 22nd, 2021 agenda, amended agenda has been approved. And next will be approval of minutes. Are there any changes to the amendments?
No, sir.
Alderman
Okay,
Pavlin.
then I'll
move
ask for a
to-
motion, please, to approve the April 8th, 2021 minutes as presented.
Alderman Pavlin, move to approve.
Alderman Meyer, second.
Okay, thank you. I'll now ask for a roll call vote, please.
Alderman Pinchuk.
Alderman Pinchuk, yes.
Alderman Pavlin,
Alderman Pavlin, yes.
Alderman Burnett,
Alderman Burnett, yes.
Alderman Meyer,
Alderman Meyer, yes.
Mayor Williams.
Mayor Williams, yes. Let the record show that the April 8th, 2021 minutes have been approved and will be recorded as official minutes of that meeting. Next will be a motion to approve the April 8th, 2021 budget workshop meeting minutes. I need a motion, please.
Alderman Pavlin, move to approve.
Alderman Meyer, second.
Thank you. I now ask the town recorder to take a roll call vote.
Alderman Pavlin,
Alderman Pavlin, yes.
Alderman Burnett,
Alderman Burnett, yes.
Alderman Meyer,
Alderman Meyer, yes.
Alderman Pinchuk,
Alderman Pinchuk, yes.
Mayor Williams.
Mayor Williams, yes. Let the record show that the April 8th, 2021 budget workshop minutes have been approved and be recorded as official minutes of that workshop. Okay, next will be the mayor's report. And again, I'll ask everyone to please stay with the physical distancing, face covering when out in public. We're seeing a drop in new cases, but we still have folks dying and we have folks in the hospital. And I also urge everyone over 16 who has not had a chance to get a vaccine to check with their healthcare provider to make sure that they can have a vaccine. And if so, please sign up for the vaccine of your choice. The Board of Mayor and Aldermen place a high value on our staff and volunteer committee members, as well as our Farragut residents. And with the COVID protocol in place, we have learned from experience that the ongoing sanitizing measures will be in place for some time to come. We're very thankful that Governor Lee has given us the opportunity to, with his executive order, to continue virtual meetings for everyone's safety. The plans are to return for some form of live meeting very soon. At this point, I'll now yield the floor to the Vice Mayor for her report.
I appreciate Mayor Williams. I have no report tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other aldermen have anything to report? If not, then we'll move on to tonight's agenda. We have amended agenda. We have two business items tonight based on the amended items. Approval of the change orders 6 and 7 for contract 2020-12, McPhee Park Phase 3.
Good evening. As the mayor said, this is approval of change orders 5, 6, and 7, contract 2020-12, McPhee Park Phase 3. You'll recall this is a major expansion to McPhee Park. It includes great lawn, tennis complex, parking, the loop road that goes all the way around it, and a restroom pavilion. If you remember back when this was awarded, you authorized staff to approve change orders up to $50,000. The reason for that is so that staff can make approvals to keep the project moving. This is a fairly common way of doing things. And, some of the items on this list tonight have already been approved and have been completed. The main purpose of this, I guess, is to formally approve these change orders so that we can reset that authorization. So let me start on these. Change order 5 includes under drains under the paver parking lot. That is it will really improve the drainage system under the paver system so that, well, it wasn't included in the original plans. We wanted to do that because you don't want water pocketing under those pavers. That can create problems over time. Total cost was $17,295. Change order 5 also includes a credit for allowing the contractor to use fiber reinforced concrete for their curbing as opposed to using steel reinforcement. That was a credit of $3,920. So change order 5 had a total cost of $13,375 with a 7-day time extension. Change order 6 was the addition of an electrical vault for LCUB. LCUB had required that we include this. It was to make our tie better for distribution from the McPhee Road power lines. Total cost was $2,585 with no time extension. Change order 7 is a number of minor changes that have been done at staff's request. A few things that came along that we decided that needed to be included. Well, they needed to be, or we wouldn't have requested. It also has a couple of credits. I can read through those if you'd like. We can go over them, but total cost for change order 7 is $22,495 with a 6-day time extension. Now, all three of these together have a total cost of $38,455 with 13-day contract extension. So, all that being said, staff would propose approval of change orders 5, 6, and 7 as presented for contract 2020-12 McPhee Park Phase 3 and a reauthorization for staff approval of change orders up to $50,000.
Mr. Alderman Pinchot, I'll move for approval.
Second, Alderman Pavlin, second.
Okay, thank you, Darrell, and thank you, Alderman, for the motion. At this point, I think we can start discussion with Alderman Meyer.
Alderman Meyer, pass.
Okay, thank you, sir. Alderman Burnett.
Alderman Burnett, I'll pass.
Thank you, Alderman Pinchot.
Alderman Pinchot, I pass.
Vice Mayor Pavlin.
Vice Mayor Pavlin, really quick question. I'm sorry. We'd like to cruise through all of this tonight.
No problem.
Darrell, can you tell me what the modifications to the irrigation system for improved runtime and system performance was? Is there new, did someone study that? How did that come about?
What was spec'd in the plans included so many, I'm not quite sure what the word is, cycles. In order to be able to get the full reach, I don't remember, there were like 30, it would have to run pretty much all the time. Some portion of the park would have irrigation going. By making these changes, we're able to do it a lot more efficiently and get more water out there in a shorter period of time. That way we can water in the early morning, get it over with, and we're not running water all the time.
Okay, I might be reaching out to you personally so I know how to run my irrigation system more efficiently. Just wondering.
Okay. Well, I will say Bud McKelvey is the expert on that. So
okay, then I'll just go right to Bud.
Go talk to Bud.
I appreciate the input. Thank you. That's all I had.
Okay, thank you, Vice Mayor, and thank you, Darrell. Live and learn on programming, I guess, for the watering. At this point, that's all. I have no other. I will now ask for a roll call vote, please.
Alderman Burnett.
Alderman Burnett, yes.
Alderman Meyer.
Alderman Meyer, yes.
Alderman Pinchot.
Alderman Pinchot, yes.
Alderman Pavlin.
Alderman Pavlin, yes.
Mayor Williams.
Mayor Williams, yes. Let the record show that the requested change orders has been approved and the 50K has been reinstated. Okay, next will be approval of contract 2021-05, street resurfacing. Darrell, you're up again.
Thank you much. This is our annual resurfacing contract. Each year, staff goes around, we maintain a kind of a running list of priorities, and we try to narrow that down each spring before we bring this contract up in order to stay to reach our priorities within our budget, put it that way. This year we are looking at doing McPhee Road, Glen Abbey Boulevard, Harrison Road, and 2 lengths of Greenway. That's Bricksworth Greenway adjacent to Sailview, and another at the Cove at Turkey Creek. We received 4 bids on April 13th. I'll read them off here. APAC Atlantic bid $676,709.95. Duracap Asphalt bid $672,277.60. PRI of East Tennessee bid $749,605.25. And Rogers Group Incorporated bid $882,600.05. I think Duracap was awarded our contract a couple of years ago. We were very pleased with their work, so we're happy with their low bid. Now, each year we look at our budget and we try to put together a list of streets that we believe will be below that budget amount. And then if we find that we have quite a bit of money left over, we'll add a street or two and do more with the budget we have. This year, after talking with Allison, I think, Allison, you confirmed we have an actual total of $856,732.80 available for resurfacing. Now, our low bid is $672,277.60. That leaves $184,000 on the table. Now, these numbers, that is not in agreement with what was in the memo in your packet. I was able to confirm these since that memo went out. But staff is recommending that we add Port St. Charles Drive and San Martin Lane. Both of those are in the Glen Abbey subdivision. This should pretty much complete everything in Glen Abbey. And based upon Duracap's unit prices, these will increase our estimated cost to $752,161.85. Now, there was an amended bid form in your packet. I would say that in the last couple of days, it was discovered that we had not included anything for additional traffic control for those additional streets. That was a total of $4,000. So proposed motion is approval of bids and award of contract 2021-05 to Duracap Asphalt Company Incorporated for their low bid of $672,277.60 with the addition of streets and curb ramps as presented for a total cost of $752,161.85.
This is Vice
That was
Mayor
a
Aldermen. Move to approve.
Alderman Meyer,
Yeah,
second.
Nat, I'll second.
Thank you. Okay, I guess we can start discussion with Vice Mayor Pavlik.
I don't have anything. Thank you.
Okay, Alderman Meyer.
So Daryl, just to confirm rather, the $748,000 is going to include the paving of the Port St. Charles and the same St. Martin Lane, correct?
That's correct. And
Okay.
actually it's 4,000 more than that just due to the additional traffic control from those other streets. We did also include a couple of extra curb ramps over near McPhee Road.
So then the actual motion would be for 752,000-ish, I guess.
That was the actual motion, Alderman Meyer.
That's correct.
Okay. Just confirming. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Pinchot.
Alderman Pinchot, I pass.
Alderman Burnett.
Alderman Burnett, I'll pass.
But
Okay,
Mayor Williams, I have a quick question. Sorry.
Okay.
Daryl, when you say curb ramps, is that bringing those curb ramps up to ADA standards? And so it's stuff we're checking off our ADA list. Is that correct?
That's correct. This contract has a total of, let me see how many curb ramps. Didn't include that in my memo.
You don't
That
have
will
to. I
have
just
30, that's 32 curb ramps we'll be doing.
Okay, that's wonderful. Thank you. I appreciate that.
No problem.
That's all I had, Mayor Williams.
Okay. Well, I'm sure Glen Abbey will be pleased to know that that they will have a complete resurface in their area and the curb ramps modified. So with that, I'll now ask for a roll call vote, please.
Alderman Burnett. Alderman Burnett. Okay. Alderman Meyer.
Alderman Meyer, yes.
Alderman Pinchuk.
Alderman Pinchuk, yes.
Alderman Pavlin.
Alderman Pavlin, yes.
Alderman Burnett.
Alderman Burnett, yes.
And Mayor Williams.
Mayor Williams, yes. Let the record show that the modified contract 2021-05 has been approved. Okay. Next will be the town administrator's report.
Mayor, I have nothing to report tonight.
Okay, when we do not have Tom Hale, is there anything on Citizens Forum?
No, sir.
Okay, thank you. And without objection, the April 22nd, 2021 Farragut Board of Mayor and Alderman meeting is now complete and adjourned at 7:19 p.m. Thanks, folks.
Good night,
Good night,
everybody.
everyone.
Good night, everybody.